Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
So wait, tune into Recent Tartarians. So wait, Benevolent, Anthony said he thought that the owl should only hoot once, and I've got the owl hooting twice. Well, boy, is my face red. I hope you guys enjoyed that intro. For me, the intro is great because I could be like, oh man, the show's about to begin. And I'm worried, like, oh, do I have enough time? And anytime you start it, you're like, oh no, I got the intro. I got like an hour. This is crazy. 5 minutes long intro. What an audacious thing to do. Well, I thought I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. Yesterday, I wasn't sure. And then as the time has progressed, more and more is unfolded. Yesterday, I did save. I didn't really talk as much about it. The Minnesota chicken farm fire that Rob Schneider pointed out. I kind of want to like maybe just I'm still processing this, that Rob Schneider is a conspiracy theorist. It's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of interesting. I like it. And you know, we were talking about it on the Based AF show with Adam and Garrett and Flodzilla, Darth Call. I think that's George the Dragon Slayer now also. Really good show. I think it's become a decent lineup because we're all so different. We're so broad. It's the view for men. Well, it was a good conversation piece, but I just think we need to talk a little bit more. We need to analyze this a bit more. Like, what is Rob Schneider doing? But I want to also say, hey, you know, thank you to Receding Gumline yesterday. Wanted to see some images. You saw the thumbnail. I'm gonna go back. Let me see if you can. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, okay. And of course, you can always go to Andreas.me and click on the donate button. And if you do that, you know, awesome. But beyond that, you can even put like a little note. You know what I mean? Area of greatest need. You know, write us a comment. And you could be like, I want you to make a CGI video about cats, because I think studies will show people love cats, whether they should or shouldn't. So yeah, you can do the donate thing, and I will also read your message if that wasn't clear. Although I'm doing my best. I try to read as many messages as possible, but it's crazy how many I get. I almost wanted to read one of the messages I got earlier, because I usually get like, "This is great. You're doing a wonderful job. Just keep it up. You could work on this. I'll admit it, Andreas. You need some help with this." But I got a message that was like, you know, how dare you? You came on somebody's show and you were just some snappy youngster without knowing what you're talking about. It was really funny. That was great. I can't remember where it is, but it was the meanest message I'd gotten in such a long time. And I'll be honest, it made me smile more than your average fan mail, because it was like, this person really thinks about me, and they're stressed out and they can't stop thinking, and they're so angry. I don't know. It was pretty good. All right. I digress. I wanted to go back to, this is if Bob Ross painted in the metaverse, if he painted the metaverse, apparently it should come out looking something like that. And then here was Bob Ross lost in the metaverse, or is it Bob Ross's clone lost in the metaverse? And I like it. I think it turned out kind of decent. Let's do a little zooming in. You can see some paint styles and it's like a real jacket, and his face is morphing, I'll admit that, but afro, because we all know that's what it means to be Bob Ross. So, to be honest, the human form it's getting better at doing the human form, like, let's be real. But this isn't bad at all. Like, this is probably better, because it has so much focus in and out in different zones. I mean, it's like a 3D world made of paint, better than I could do if I tried to model this in Cinema 4D or something like that, which is, if you guys don't know, Cinema 4D is like a 3D modeling software that's pretty good. Another one's Houdini. And then this is the cover one. So here you go, Receding Gumline. I hope you like that. And if anybody wants me to make more of these specifically, just ask me, you know, send me you know, a message or something like that, and I'm going to continue to do that. It won't be today's focus, but I will go through just a few more. This one was supposed to be in the style of William Blake, I believe, and it was what was it? Adam and Eve and the serpent. No wait, Adam and Eve and the angel Lucifer, the serpent, something like that. I forget. I was trying to, you know, I'm trying to combine phrases in such a way that it has to combine the images or ideas together. And, you know, you got like this baby Birdman Madonna like antithesis with this lady. I don't know. I think it turned out interesting. I'm more interested in some of these pieces where AI is trying to wrestle with getting concepts into the shapes. So that's Gestalt psychology, and it helps prove that AI has, target recognition of priorities. This one was the one I'm kind of right now probably my most proud of. And so what I did was I said a Ferrari 308 on a broken bridge in the rain. I think that was what it was. In Metropolis, that was what it was. It was on a broken bridge in the rain in Metropolis. I think there was rain in there because I see some rain. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. But definitely, and I also have a save of every single version that I've done, so I can go back and I can say, oh yeah, this series turned out nice. Let's use these styles again. But I think this one really, I love it. And I can do some pixel resolution, which I haven't done yet. So, but just as it came out, it has, again, it's figured out a lot about what we think a car is, what a CGI computer is reading about cars, looking up about cars, and it's making this is a pretty decent car. It's not perfect, and again, it's a car on a broken bridge, and I've found that telling AI, I don't know, because it's probably her, right? It's because it's a mother. I don't know. So AI telling her what to do, she is going to, this is better than, I don't know, you should be careful with pronouns on the internet these days. Telling AI what to do, AI will do it beyond what you're thinking about. If you say, I want you to generate pigs in space, you saw my pigs in space, they look like they were imploding a little bit, in my opinion. Maybe I'm overanalyzing, but I've been doing a few other versions of this, and it seems like because I said broken bridge, I got broken car. I don't know. Maybe because it was driving on a bridge that's broken, and so the car wouldn't make it. And so it's also broken. Or maybe just because you use the word broken, and the AI is loosely associating the word broken with other items in the syntax. These are things to learn. I don't know. I mean, maybe you don't care, but imagine you had a kid and they were learning how to draw, and so that was why I associate this with Coco the gorilla. It's like watching Coco the gorilla draw. And even though it's not perfect, it's better than perfect. It's a car crash in a bridge. I mean, it's everything. I don't know. I'm going to probably make this into like a giant poster. And if you guys need some cyberpunk car posters for your rooms or something cooler, I don't know. And again, looking into 360 and VR, with this, you're able to do full-on landscapes. So you can actually set this up that you've got you can wear a headset, have 115 to 180 degrees of movement. I think you could do 360 if you really wanted to, but there's a memory limit on your system. But then you could literally have focus on models using turbo mode to render your 3D objects, and maybe have like 18,000 CGS, which is the scaled of pixel rendering in the back, because all of this is like pixel by pixel, 8 by 8, 64 by 64, and so there's a certain way it's generating out by 64 by 64 pixels. But here it was like Egypt, Unreal Engine, and you can see it. It doesn't look real. It looks kind of more like the Unreal Engine, not perfectly. And there's also some painter that was involved. I think it's George Rutkowski or something like that, who does oil paintings. So it's combining oil paintings to do a Sphinx at the pyramids of Giza or something like that. And you get this girl that's a camel, basically, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then this one turned out better. This one was a combination of the pyramids of Giza at the Chicago World's Fair or something like that, or like the Sphinx at the Chicago World's Fair. I think that was what it was. And also not perfect, and I'm going to also continue to increase resolution cutting, and so this is right before I started to learn about how you can do that, so that you can see the difference between this and the red car. But you can also see there's faces everywhere, and it has this really good Geiger kind of Alien versus Predator vibe, which I like. And definitely very Tartarian. I mean, look at that. Ruins, Tesla towers, Antiquitex, all kinds of stuff everywhere. So, and then this is a frowning face. That's kind of funny, right? A frowny sphinx. Not the way you expected it to be. Plus, there's almost like this wind or smoke or snow that's filling the place up and flooding into the place. That's making this weird face like a Morlock from Back to the Future. Anybody? I don't know. I saw that. Then, here's where I started really getting it, I think, with the rendering and overcutting tech. Does it say Vienna? I think it even says... It almost looks like it says Vienna. I don't know. Maybe that's just my mind, but if I zoom in, and I can do better with, again, pixel uplifting, you can up-res this picture and it'll look amazing. But it's a 3D map based on old maps, and if I did an entire series of these and I trained it using just star forts, it's gonna produce organic, fractally cityscape star forts. And so here's right now just like one little bit of it, but you can even do panoramas, and it's a crazy way to build a civilization. I don't know. I'm impressed with that one. That one turned out pretty good. Okay, now the Turing paper. No, we're not onto this yet. What we have? There was the other window. That's right, the other window. Building with... Oh, yeah, okay, chicken farming, right? So chicken farming was crazy. Let me find the Rob Schneider thing here. Where's Rob Schneider? Rob Schneider. He's a guy. Let it load. Is this wrong page? Not that page? Rob Schneider. There we go. Okay. So, Rob Schneider, Asian Mama Mexican Kid streams August 11th. I don't know what his life's about. I do know he was in like a Good Surfer movie that I liked as a kid, where he played a poser. He was one of the main guys, but he never surfed. He was always waxing his board. He was a poser. I don't know. Some people hate him. He always seemed like he wasn't quite as dumb as he was pretending to be. Maybe he was just dumb enough to work in Hollywood. But he did some stuff. He did this show, The Chosen One. I should show you that. The Chosen One, Rob Schneider. It was a movie that he has to save a bird nest because he's the chosen one of these Peruvian or Nepalese, or I don't remember what it was. El Elegido, the chosen one. Yeah, so he basically has... Let's read the actual subtitles or synopsis. Buscemi's in it, which is why I think I actually saw it in the first place. A depressed car salesman is repeatedly interrupted in the act of suicide by a co-worker from the Nissan dealership, a beautiful woman translator, and 3 Native American shamans of the Arhuaco people from the mountains of Colombia. And a phone call from his mother, he finally finds faith in himself. And after the rest of the world puts its faith in him, the sole being on earth who can save mankind from its own destruction with trust, the chosen one. And he has to go into save a bird's nest, basically, and the whole world sees it. And just by doing this little act of kindness for the world, it saved the world. So that was pretty sweet. I thought that wasn't a bad thing that he did that. And then I started noticing, though, he's been posting all this stuff. He's posting stuff about what's going on in the Amazon. I was like, oh, that's interesting. He cares about these Indians. He wasn't just making a movie about them. He actually is interested in what's going on. And he's worried about the journalists as well. And that led me to seeing other posts he did about... Well, let's go back a little bit further to the first one I saw. What is a woman? The bias is hilarious. You have to see this movie. Daily Wire, Matt Walsh. Okay, so Rob Schneider's on our side. And then Spanish meteorological agencies confessed that Spain is being sprayed with lead dioxide, silver iodide, and diatomite. We talked about this yesterday, but I mean, this turned out to be completely correct, and that there was a number of other articles that have confirmed this. And I was saying I'd noticed it in France. Now there are articles coming out in France that are doing this, and this is going to be a huge deal, bigger than people realize, because guess what this means about your organics. So people that sell organics in Europe, it's one of the reasons why Europe has said, Russia is very for organics, and European Union's kind of deviated from bio organic because they have all these little rules that allow you to continue to call yourself organic even when there's silver iodide and diatomite. Now, silver iodide's good. That silver iodide's probably going to actually kill some of the bad stuff. Lead dioxide, not so good. That's pretty obvious. Okay, but as went on, then we saw the whole thing with the chicken farming, and the chicken farming thing was just, hey, since I'm not allowed to post this, let me take a screenshot. And he's seeing all these posts about mystery torching of chicken farms. Let me see if I can find. I had an article already somewhere about, there we go, the chicken farm thing. And this happened not far from where I'm at right now. Tens of thousands of chickens killed in Wright County egg farm fire. And this is, maybe the 22nd one. There was the 19th one just a few days earlier. So it's impossible at a certain point for so many coincidences to not have causality or correlation. I mean, this is clearly someone doesn't want chicken farms. I mean, whether or not it's them that don't want their own chicken farms because they have an insurance break, which is, sometimes people do that. I'm not saying that's necessarily what's going on here. But it is a thing that sometimes happens where people destroy their own property for insurance fraud. And so it's something that some people have to investigate, surely. But it's going to continue. We're going to see more and more examples of people burning property. There was several plane crashes. Is this one? What's the see? Is the plane crash one? No. There was one where there's at least two that were plane crashes into chicken farms. So this is the deal. It's another story I don't think you're gonna hear that much about in America, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, bet you bottom Bitcoin, what do you call it, Satoshi, the fraction, that this is not the story that they're pushing right now. But I'm curious. Let me know. U.S. woman accused of leading all-female ISIL unit pleads guilty. U.S. Justice Department says more than 100 women and young girls received military training from Allison Fluke Ekron. Okay? So here's an ISIL Islamic terrorist from, where's she from? North Virginia, right? Or no. She might not be from there. Let's find out. An American woman accused of leading an all-female ISIS battalion has pleaded guilty in the United States courtroom to conspiring to provide material support to a terrorist organization. Allison Fluke Ekron entered her plea in a federal courtroom in Northern Virginia near Washington, D.C. She faces up to 20 years in jail. Let's see. From Kansas. Okay, an ISIL Islamic terrorist from Kansas. That's a trip. 14-year-old former resident of Kansas who worked as a teacher in the United States was previously captured in Syria and transferred to FBI custody late last week. She was charged with providing and conspiring to provide material support or resources to designated former terrorist organizations. She's just a teacher, couldn't help herself. Fluke Ekron made an initial appearance on Monday afternoon in U.S. District Court in Alexandria, Virginia, in a hearing that lasted only minutes. She was ordered to remain in jail pending a detention hearing set for Thursday afternoon, and an attorney was appointed to represent her. A criminal complaint dated 2019, which was unsealed at the weekend, cited the testimonies of several witnesses who told U.S. officials that Fluke Ekron discussed waging attacks in the United States and had translated ISIL material into English. According to a witness, in about late 2016, the Wali or ISIS-appointed mayor of Raqqa, Syria, allegedly permitted the opening of the Katiba Nusabia, which was a military battalion comprised solely of female ISIS members who were married to male ISIS fighters, the Department of Justice said in a statement on January 29th. Shortly thereafter, Fluke Ekren allegedly became the leader and organizer of the battalion. Dying. Okay. Over 100 women and young girls, including as young as 10 or 11 years old, received military training from Fluke Ekren in Syria on behalf of ISIS, the United States Department of Justice said in a statement on Tuesday. Fluke Ekren, who had been captured in Syria, was brought to the U.S. late in January to face charges, and she will be sentenced October 25th. Fluke Ekren sought to motivate her trainees by explaining how female fighters can ensure the Islamic State is kept alive by helping ISIS expand and to remain through the use of weapons, including automatic firing AK-47 assault rifles, grenades, and suicide belts packed with explosives, the Justice Department said on Tuesday. A criminal complaint dated to 2019, which was unsealed earlier this year, cited the testimony of several witnesses who told, we saw this, training languages. Well, wait. ISIL's de facto capital and one of the last territorial strongholds in Raqqa, the Syrian city was seized by the U.S.-backed Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. Good job, Kurds. That's fun. So, Fluke Ekren, whose family is from the U.S. Midwest, works as a teacher. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. Oh, another one. This was on Al Jazeera as well. UAE joins Muslim nation in slamming India over prophet remarks. The foreign ministry of the UAE says that the BJP's officials' comments were contrary to the moral and humanitarian values and principles, and this has been going on for a while. They're fighting in India, and you'd say like, "Hey, what about this pacifist spirit of the Hindu?" They get agitated too. Building with 200, we do the chicken farm thing. Let's move past it. Oh, yeah, here we go. How Pope Francis is planning his resignation and future Black Pope. So we've been seeing Pope Francis in a wheelchair a lot recently, which is kind of weird because he doesn't seem that old. And now he just wheeled around in a wheelchair all the time. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it. I think there's something more to this personally, but I don't know the deal. Granted, he does look more and more like a mafiosa boss, like a godfather. So, the fact that Pope Francis will resign rather than wait to the end of his mandate was something I pointed out from the beginning of his papacy. Oh, this is Leo, by the way. Remember Leo Zagami? I'm gonna get him back on. He's important. He gets stuff. He understands it. But now, Bergoglio has added fuel to rumors about the future of his pontificate by announcing he would visit the central Italian city of L'Aquila in August for a feast initiated by Pope Celestine V, one of the few pontiffs who resigned before Pope Benedict XVI stepped down in 2013, as I pointed out in my book I published, 2015 Pope Francis, the Last Pope, Money, Masons, and Occultism in the Decline of the Catholic Church. Good job, Leo. In the last few days, the Italian and Catholic media have been rife with uncensored speculation that the 85-year-old Francis might be planning to follow in Benedict's footsteps. But it's not the first time, I pointed out. 4 years ago in the article, the Italian media announces that the Pope's resignation is imminent. Again, good job, Leo. There we go. However, given his increased mobility problems, I mean, here's the thing on that, though. Good for you, Leo. But every time the Pope dies, there's a huge drop in stock prices. That's great if you are buying up stock, but if you already own everything, you don't need to do that. So having a transitionary pope is a new corporatist, Yakuza kind of, Jesuit plan. And they've been doing it for at least a few. I mean, this is the second now, I guess. The main reason why he did not step down earlier was far more conservative. Pope Ratzinger is still alive, but after the power grab of August, that will no longer be a problem, and the conclave will be ready to vote in the first black pope in recent history. Three early popes were from the Roman African province. These were Pope Victor I, who reigned from 189 to 199. Pope Matildides reigned from 311 to 314. And Pope Galatius, who reigned from 492 to 496. All three were North African men. but this time the next pope will come from the heart of Africa, as pointed out by the most trusted sources in the Vatican. Oh, that'll be interesting. So when he says black pope, he means... I get it. All right. I thought he was saying Jesuit, but interesting. Okay, and then this is the story that I have to talk about because, Clinton advisor linked to Epstein found hanged with shotgun blast to the chest. Investigation reopened. Thanks, Jamie, for writing this, Jamie White. An investigation into the mysterious death of former President Bill Clinton advisor Mark Middleton has been reopened, but the details of his death have been muzzled by a lawsuit brought forward by his family. 59-year-old Middleton, a longtime special advisor for Clinton while he was president, was found hanged from a tree with a shotgun blast to his chest in early May at the Heifer Ranch outside Perryville, Arkansas. Didn't mean to laugh. It was just a joke. I don't know the man. I don't know why he picked our county or picked that location to commit suicide. To our knowledge, he has never been there before. And we have no record of him being there before. Perry County Sheriff Scott Montgomery told the Daily Mail. Well, that's just... Don't say that, Say our condolences. Don't be like... And we have a lawyer that's paid to write a complete deny of all responsibility. We weren't there, what? Nobody asked. Who is this guy? Calm down. Okay, so complicit. He died from a self-inflicted shotgun wound to the chest. He found a tree and he pulled a table over there, and he got on that table and he took an extension cord, put it around a limb, put it around his neck, and he shot himself in the chest with a shotgun. Yeah. Right. It was very evident that the shotgun worked because there was not a lot of blood or anything on the scene. You could tell the shotgun blast was on his chest. You could tell that because there is a hole in the chest, and pellets came out of the back of his back. I feel like I was supposed to read this with an accent. Hold on. Accent. It was very evident that the shotgun worked because there was not a lot of blood or anything on the scene. You could tell the shotgun blast was on his chest. You could tell that because there is a hole in the chest and pellets came out the back of his back. It was definitely self-inflicted, in our opinion. I mean, right? Okay. In the 1990s, Middleton served as a conduit between Clinton and the late billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, had arranged at least 7 of the 17 visits Epstein had made to the White House, and flew on the Lolita Express several times himself, according to the Daily Mail. A source reportedly confirmed to Radar Online that Middleton was found hanging from a tree by an extension cord with a close-range shotgun blast to his chest and likely did not commit suicide. And here's this guy right here. Little Epstein flight list buddy-o. Everyone that I know here that has worked with Mark knows it's physically impossible for Mark to have killed himself. The source identified as a terrified business associate of Middleton reportedly said. Wow. I mean, how do they get away with this? He could not physically hold a shotgun and the accent. He could not physically hold his shotgun and done that to himself, the source added. He knows nothing about guns. He hated guns. He couldn't have tied a noose to save his life. The man couldn't change a light bulb by himself. He was the least physically skilled person I have ever met in my life. He was very smart, great with paperwork, legalities, and all of that, but he couldn't physically take care of himself. Oh, this is fun. I'm going to keep doing that whenever I want to get Dane, because he can do like the Uganda accent perfectly. Radar has filled a Freedom of Information Act request with the Perry County Sheriff's Department demanding copies of the police report, as well as photos and videos contained within it. But Middleton's wife, Rhea, and brother, Larry, filed a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction against the disclosure of the police report and contents associated with it to prevent the spread of unsubstantiated conspiracy theories. Since Mr. Middleton's death, Mr. Middleton's family, including the Middletons, have been harassed by outlandish, hurtful, and unsupported and offensive online articles regarding Mr. Middleton, his death, and his family, states the lawsuit. The same individual who created this online article will attempt to obtain details of the file. Additionally, Montgomery revealed to radar that the investigation into Middleton has been reopened, further stymieing attempts to obtain information about the details of Middleton's death. At this time, this is an open investigation, and we are not releasing any information, Montgomery said in an email, without elaborating on the decision to reopen the investigation. Perry County Coroner Bill Green also refused to release autopsy details, citing the open investigation. I'm doing it. Right now, it's considered an open case, and nothing is being released on it at this time, a worker at the coroner's office said. This means it's under investigation. It's a legal matter, which I guess might be supposed as a criminal matter also. I don't know. Oh, we got a super chat from Kent. Kent, let me just check out your super chat real quick, because sometimes they disappear if I just rant too long. What about Arturo Sosa, the leader of the Jesuits? What role will he play in the Bergoglio retirement? Arturo Sosa will probably continue to run the Black Pope. I think if you think about it, really. So for those of you guys who are interested, let me just try to sum it up real quickly. Like, neo-fascist liberation theologist from Venezuela, Arturo Sosa, who succeeded Adolfo. And I remember Adolfo because I think he liked to spend a lot of time in the Philippines, right? So, after he left power, Duterte kind of tried to save the Philippines. I'm not saying whether it worked out or not. I'm just saying Duterte did a lot to try to stop a lot of things that we associate with the worst of the West going over to the Philippines and doing. That's all I'm saying. So Sosa at least seems to be more obsessed with liberation theology than he does with other things. I don't know. He could easily be beyond that, but what you can imagine is you can see what happened to Venezuela, right? Socialism has taken over Venezuela. It's been very good for the church in a lot of weird ways. So you can imagine that the church will continue to have the state take over their jobs. I mean, taxing people, forcing people to pay taxes instead of just collecting donations. That's a very Catholic thing to do. So eventually, liberation theology will work. I think you guys already know a lot about liberation theology. I don't have to go too deep into liberation theology, do I? I'll just pull it up. It's a social economic idea that Christ was a communist. Jesus was a communist. I think there's a song. I don't know if you guys ever heard that song. It's a song. Well, there's a lot of people around the world associated with the Catholic Church through the Jesuits that believe in the idea of a liberation through theology. And it has, it's socialist in the South American idea of it. It's Latin American liberation theology is pretty specific. But it's the synthesis of Christian theology and socioeconomic analysis, emphasizing social concern for the poor. And you can imagine, okay, we're going to build a world of altar boys where there are the fathers. That's the point of that. I haven't even gotten to the sacred cow stuff, so I shouldn't go too deep into liberation theology. I just wanted to kind of answer, though, your question. If you're asking what's going to happen with the, Sosa. Well, so for those of you who don't understand the question, what he's asking is the guy who's really in charge, right? Because he's the present superior general of the Society of Jesus. The superior general is referred to as the Black Pope. Earlier when we were talking, we were saying the Black Pope. And this new Black Pope being from Africa, because he'll be black, there's a lot of questions there about what the Jesuits are going to be doing in Africa, which obviously they've already had strong control over South America through the continuation of the current Pope Francis, who is a mafioso and has been over and over again pointed out to be involved with human trafficking. Pope Francis, children, Argentina. I mean, wait. There we go. Not support. So this is this controversy. I mean, he was involved. He was implicated directly in during this brutal dictatorship, helping the elite let's say you take out somebody and they have kids, right? But you take out some communists and their kids aren't bad. So you give the kids to an infertile family who are Catholic and are okay with the state to raise the kid to be okay. So many people in Argentina are finding out all the time. They're getting a DNA test now. I mean, it's a lot. There's one of the reasons so many people do it. In Argentina, you might be thinking to yourself, well, why would you want to give your government information about DNA? Well, if you want to find out whether or not you were kidnapped and your parents thrown out of a helicopter. So, things that matter. All right. Superior General of the Society of Jesus will continue to run the world, but I imagine that there will be kind of a push out of South America into Africa, starting with Morocco. And where else do they speak Spanish in Africa? There's a couple countries. But there's also, of course, they speak French all over Africa. So the French parts of Africa are going to be where the next Black Pope probably comes from. And in the meantime, Sosa's probably going to stay around for another 2 to 5 years. I mean, he's already old, though. So imagine 2 to 5 years is all he's going to do. How old is he again? Hold on. 73? Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? He could go for another 10 years, tops. And he probably won't. He's probably going to, even though he's healthy and everything like that, you don't, at a certain point, you don't want to be so active, and you want to just have a powerful place to be. So I think that's what's going to happen. Okay. I think that's that. I wanted to just make sure you guys got the point, though. Middleton involved with the okay, and then there's another death. French modeling scout and Epstein accomplice Jean-Luc Brunel was also found hanged in his prison cell in February. So just remember Jean-Luc Brunel, who was the French modeling guy associated. Just you got to make sure that you don't forget that this is happening, because it's happening. All right, okay, you're good. Let's move on to some history. Well, okay, one last little bit. They're jumping all over the January thing again, and it's literally, you gotta wonder, why is there so much ridiculous nonsense happening? Well, because right now is a really important time, so try to focus on some of these things. Try to just get well read on what's really going on with the power struggle right now. I think that's the safest way to go. Black Pope, links. What we got here? I saw something. Oh, did they get rid of it? No. Okay, Matthew McConaughey calls for responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. I don't know. He better not be shifting on us. I don't like that. Why is he speaking to White House briefing, someone says, right? Kid Rock, can I possibly care? Severodonetsk and Severodonetsk, whatever you want to call Severodonetsk, has been advanced upon, so maybe Russia is not done. All right. I just don't like news. So, okay, but I got some news that's kind of interesting because it's news about history. So, this is something that Joe Tripp sent me, and, well, I'll just show it to you. It's called Balkanatolia, the forgotten continent discovered by a team of paleontologists and geologists. This was just recently. I've seen a few papers, that are maybe a week or two older. This is from March. So I don't think that many people are talking about this for some reason, but we've been basically covering all this stuff anyway, talking about feedback loops, and we talked about this connection between Africa and the land masses. This is some of the earlier things we were saying about the feedback loops and water systems of Africa. Now they're calling that region Balkanatolia. And so Balkanatolia would have represented this bigger landmass that would have been traversable by foot and eventually just got filled by water, supposedly. We don't know how long ago, but some 50 million years ago, right? So who's to say? But they know that there is a lot more evidence that seems a bit suspicious that it could have been that old. Upper molar of a brontotherian mammal of Asian origin, a new fossil deposit in Turkey dating back from 38 million years. I mean, we know our thing with the years. A lot of these things are probably more recent than that. Forgotten continent, Balkanatolia, that sheds light on the evolution of mammals. A team of French, American, and Turkish paleontologists and geologists led by a CNRS researcher 1 has discovered the existence of a forgotten continent they have dubbed Balkanatolia, which today covers the present Balkans and Anatolia. Formerly inhabited by a highly specific fauna, they believe that it enabled mammals from Asia to colonize Europe 34 million years ago. Divine years, maybe. For millions of years during the Eocene epoch, 55 to 34 million years ago, Western Europe and Western Asia formed two distinct land masses with very different mammalian faunas. Well, I know. Someone's going to be like, well, I don't know about that. I'm just saying this part is probably divine years. It has to do with volcanic eruptions and is exaggerated. And the idea that there was interaction between the two places is the most important thing to get out of this. Because you can see clearly that there are species that thrive in other parts of the world. And yet here they were in one valley. So there you go. I mean, here's what it is. Were they just brought there as pets? Perhaps. Probably not. Probably were just able to walk there. Because grazing patterns. And you can also see a map of the Earth 50 million years ago during the Cyprian age of the Eocene. Interesting, because all of this is super well covered. And they're making... I mean, I feel like they're just not focusing properly. We have a whole other map that shows the island of California flooding during the early Holocene, which is not that long ago. And then they're saying that before that, when this was going on, when Europe was mostly islands, that North America was exposed. I don't know. I think they're just showing you one piece at a time, and that all of this at one point was more water covered, and then it became land masses. So, Balkanatolia, 10 million years until the end of the Eocene. Okay, so see, people, well, they're not saying 10 million years ago, right? No, okay, yeah. They're just saying it was 10 million years long. Okay, I'm just trying to get them to... I just want to catch them messing up their story. Balkanatolia was an island continent of a series of islands separate from Asia and also from Western Europe. So that's another important thing. It's about the size of Australia, and it was separated. The area now comprises approximately, fossil mammals, anything. Little pictures. Okay, a lot of weird looking Brana things. And space pigs. I think we can say, let's see, there's a pig in here somewhere? Swine? Yeah, including pigs and hippopotami. This thing is what the pig comes from, which kind of fits into my space pig narration. Super brilliant space pig that, Earth pig that goes to space to escape, right? That story. Here you've got a pig thing that evolves into a hippo. Hippos are like the gnarliest animal. I am the hippo. So here you go. Also the Hyracodon. Hyracodon looks like a donkey jackal thing. Maybe this is what Seth was based on. Thrived in the rainforest of Kazakhstan, Pakistan, and China. The rainforests of Pakistan. So another thing to learn about. And we want to say, okay, well, where'd the rainforests go? It must have been 50 million years ago. Let me see if I can find my other tab as quickly as possible. Deforestation during the Roman period. Oh, I got another one. Bo. Thank you, Bo. I appreciate that. Yeah, Bo. Yeah. Okay. Deforestation during the Roman period was a result of geographical expansion of the Roman Empire, with its increased population, large-scale agriculture, and unprecedented economic development. Roman expansion marked the transition into the Mediterranean period from prehistory to historical period around 500 BC. And so this is where it gets pretty funny. Check this out. Earth sustained a few million people 8,000 years ago and was still fundamentally pristine. All right? And then there's a guy named Boyle who really believes that. And here you go. Just check that out. The Holocene period. Clean, pristine, Earth, Gaia machine. Someone wanted me to stop calling it Gaia. What do they want to do? They want to call it Gia or something ridiculous? That was in the hate mail. They were like, Andreas, you crackhead. It's not Gaia, it's Gia. You pronounce things like a fool. I was like, well, I'm not going to stop saying Gaia. You know, like Gianism. I don't. I heard that on a documentary once, and the guy sounded ridiculous. Okay. Modeling prehistoric land use and carbon budgets, right? Because the economy is the running of the house. And we can see how carbon was used, how there was a lot of carbon, and how carbon led to natural vegetation because vegetables like to eat carbon. So imagine that you had like a super city and it produced a lot of carbon and then plants grew there. Okay? So maybe wherever there was a giant super city, there's a rainforest now. Or there was a rainforest at one point before it was itself cut down by carbon life. How ironic. So we can look, though, through, and you have to, okay, so this is, let me try to also say this in a more clear way. Why does it matter what this Roman deforestation thing is? Well, because Roman period doesn't really mean anything. In fact, it means, it's like chicken. It's a flavor. It means, it's not a real flavor. It's everything. Everything is the Roman period. Everything is, what is that, you know? The Roman period? Really? Apparently it's the Holocene until now, almost. So the Roman period, but we know that they had all over the world. Where is the Roman zone? Well, the Roman zone is literally other countries. It includes Turkey. It includes Iran. It includes parts of Africa or all of Africa. It depends. I mean, you can literally call anything Roman except for maybe the Western Hemisphere. And even then, I bet you in the next 20 years, we're going to have to deal with that as well. So the Roman period, this goes into Pakistan and into India and places where Alexander was. And, you know, again, deforestation. Am I being a hippie or something? No, I mean, yeah, but also, you know, because it is wrong. But deforestation of the rainforest, getting rid of the life that's living. Where's my my crazy space pig thing? Getting rid of the life that's living in these Pakistani rainforests, right? I mean, it's a bummer. And this is where rhinos and pigs and hippos and all these things come from. So we do have this backstory of these super critters that are. I mean, look at this guy's face. Hold on. I actually like this guy right here. It kind of reminds me of like in the Ninja Turtles, like Bebop and Rocksteady, crossed with Alf. It's like a really mean Alf. I mean, the space pig thing, you know. So there's all these creatures that we know existed, and they're not. It's not so much about evolution as it is about extinction, because like these are things that were around, and they're gone now, and they're not like crazy dragon dinosaur fossils. No, they're just mud piles that have these bodies in them, and they're clearly very similar to well, I almost wanted to say today's rhinos, but how many rhinos are there today? And so this is the thing. In 100, in 20, in 5 years, and probably in a minute, I'm gonna deal with somebody who says the black rhino never existed, because it doesn't exist now, and so you haven't seen it. Oh, I saw a YouTube video; it must have been faked. Well, there really are some animals that have gone extinct, and we're dealing with this mass extinction, and part of it is that we kill these things. So, just looking back at the deforestation period of what we call Rome, you'll start to see, there's where were there, let's see, the trees. I was going to see the consumption trees. Roman Empire had a population of maybe 60 million people. Agriculture, animals and overgrazing, shipbuilding, military, urbanization, consequences. There we go. So decreased runoff, eroded soil, deforested hillsides, silt, impeded the flow of water into agricultural areas. Okay, so then you can go to Hughes, and you can see an example. Wait, where'd it go? The environmental history of the world. Environmental history of the world. Hughes. There we go. So we need this book probably. but it'll give you, I'm sure, on a PDF or an archive I can find, the review. But there are books that have examples, and I'm sure the internet would probably be more useful at this point. Hold on. Meh. Well, these university scholastic books, this is the flaw in them. They don't make them as easy to get your hands on for whatever reason. $105, right? $39 used for this textbook on deforestation. But what I remember from it is that it tells you, and you can see even from the cover, is that, how did this happen? That the Easter Island, they all died out? Well, the story is deforestation. That's what they teach us in California. They said deforestation, to roll these guys around and install them, it destroyed the island. Is that true? Probably not. But it's part of the story. It's part of the mythos of Californian anthropology. So the same story is told about Europe at this point. That where'd we go? Deforestation. No, I accidentally closed the tab. Boom. So the point is, you kind of already know it because we've shown you pictures of it. So you should see huge silting. And when you've seen pictures of silting, right? What can I show you? I always like to use the Aral Sea. The Aral Sea is a great example. But I could also use the Amazon, or I could use parts of Africa. When you see huge zones where silting has happened that are just, again, remember, this whole lake went down to almost Nukus up into the North Aral Sea. So this whole area here is silted. That's, how many miles is that? How do I even begin to, 75, 200, 150, maybe 200 miles? It's about 200 miles of silting. And so when you can have 200 miles of runoff, 200 miles or 500 miles of runoff, that'll completely destroy your environment. And it will make it impossible, for water to connect to different zones, which will further damage your environment. Which is ironic because there's so much freaking water everywhere, right? But you can see there was a lot more water in this area, and all of a sudden, this area became filled with water as it started to drain out. So that's not that long ago. It's not 50 million years ago, and we can prove it. And in fact, it looks like even the book that they're using, Hughes' Environmental History of the World, will tell you this probably happened a lot quicker, because he doesn't believe that Easter Island was built 50 million years ago. That's an absurd, preposterous sentiment. So deforestation during the Roman period is where environmentalists are starting to admit that things that took 50 to million years took 1,000 years. Maybe like 500 to 1,000 years. This idea that we had a civilization that was fine up until this started to happen, kind of a reasonable idea, actually. Deforestation, and it means more than you think it does. It's not just like, oh yeah, there were lumberjacks cutting down trees. No, we're talking about like millions of trees, like entire zones. Just 20 acres. Let's see. As a result, agricultural produced commodities that contributed to the economic prosperity of the Romans, who relied on the crops produced from the slaves and landowners. As a result, in 111 BC, Roman law allowed anyone who occupied public land of up to 20 acres to keep it, provided it was brought into cultivation. So in other words, it would get you to have land if you'd use it. This type of policy created widespread clearing and reflected the importance of agriculture, not only to the affluent, but also to its citizens, to the military and the merchants engaged in trade with other regions. So just continued to expand this concept of, if you use it, you won't lose it. And people, use it or lose it. People started to do this in Germany. They deforested Germany, all across Italy, Slovenia, Croatia. It's tragic to see. Now, there are trees that have grown back in the last few hundred years, but probably the amount of extinct fauna that's gone, in flora, is just, you can't even imagine. You can't even imagine what Europe used to look like. And again, we're saying Pakistan was a rainforest. So This matters. I maybe need to... Okay, flooding in harbors. Erosion accelerated up to 20-fold in the 3rd century, creating unusable marshlands which spread diseases such as malaria. Flooding from runoff disrupted water supply to natural springs and rivers, but also increased siltation to coastal areas and harbors at river deltas. Rains washed away the unprotected earth and greatly altered coastlines, in some cases pushing them many miles farther out to sea, as is the case around the mouths of the Po River. And we can see the Po River in northern Italy. The headwaters of the Po are a spring sweeping. Do they have a picture? Protected active fossil delta. Region with no longer active channels from the Po. It begins upstream in the Ferrara. Geological activity. Silting crust. Water resource management. Dams. Not enough. Not enough I can do with you there. The washing away of the topsoil and deposit of silt and gravel meant that harbor and ports needed to be moved, causing further burden upon the economy. Even in the city of Rome, floods covered the lower part of the city and backed up the sewers. The first such flood was noticed in 241 BC. Records indicate increased flooding of the river from that time onward. Okay, so changing water flows. Reflections in awareness. Clearing for agricultural needs and for heat was a necessity for long-time survival in the Roman times, though there is a debate as to whether the Romans understood the implications of deforestation. Richard Grove said, states will act to prevent environmental degradation only when there is an economic interest that are shown to directly be threatened. The Romans did have some forms of ecological conservation. Recycling of glassware was practiced along with architectural design that utilized solar heating. Forests were also under government regulation and protected for future resources. Unfortunately, these attempts may have been too little, too late. In the 5th century BC, Plato complained that the loss of timber had denuded the hills and plains around Athens and caused massive soil erosion. Cicero also noted, we humans are the masters of what the earth produces, and all things in this world which men employ have been created and provided for the sake of men. So, conjecture on the Roman collapse. Tainter argued that deforestation did not cause the Roman collapse, but that one could make a case as to it being part of it. As Williams wrote, it was much more likely that constant war ravaged epidemics and rebellions, invasions from outside, a declining population, an excessive degree of urbanization, separately or in combination, operated on the land in an empire that had expanded beyond its means. Some argue that above all, that all of the above is based on unhistorical projection. Hypocaust is a building that produces and circulated hot airflow. What was the point of this? They were burning coal. Okay, so yeah, the fact they were burning coal, and there's an entire other environmental problem. I don't know. Also the first Eden in the Mediterranean world, and man, no, get off that. I think just looking at this, we can say this is kind of nonsense. I see one site from Grove. I'll check that out. No. I'm convinced that the destruction of forests in Europe, deforestation during the Roman period is important. Good to read the criticism, but I didn't see anything there that mattered. But you start to look at what it was like in Europe, and it's insane. The size of these continents that have just completely changed, and the coastlines that have completely changed. I mean, dude, Balkanatolia. So again, looking at Balkanatolia, give me a map. Maybe it's here or something. Just looking at this filled in area here. I mean, look at the difference in shape of Italy and how Italy has become it's appeared, right? I mean, so that's another important thing. Italy had just appeared. It wasn't part of it before. It might have just been part of a land plane. I mean, who knows? It would have been rainforests and jungles. There's a few peak mountain tops that would have made up parts of what we consider Italy. So the entire region would have been a giant rainforest, and this is supposed to be an area that people were crossing. There's a lot more water in certain areas, but there's a lot more touching in other areas as well. So you could cross, you could walk, you could make a boat, you could swim. Although, I mean, imagine it's probably like saltwater crocodiles, hippopotami, sharks, crazy things like that. So you probably want to be careful, but yeah, you think you could. All right, now here's where we get into this whole thing. I'm saying I was going to talk to you about for a minute the myth of the heavenly cow. Crossing my fingers I could get to it, and I think we did okay. The myth of the heavenly cow, starting with the history of the Jews in Alexandria, because the Jews, Moses, Egypt, Akhenaten, say the line, Bart, everything comes back to Akhenaten. It's true. So Akhenaten, you've got this story of a sacred cow in the Armenian period. Moses, you have the story of a golden calf that's built because of his prophet sister and Aram, which is his prophet brother, basically, the high priest. So later on, we start to see these stories of the Jews in Alexandria, which is the same town, get this, that this is all supposed to have taken place in. And they have all these statues of this golden calf, but they're like, no, the calf's the mother. It's associated with Hathor. And I did this before, but I just want to make sure you remember, Charlie, remember. Hathor, super cute, but also cow lady. Wow, hadn't seen this one before. Good job, AI. That's just... I don't even know what to say. All right, well, people are doing work, making art. So, Rule 34. But you get the point. She's got horns, and, if you type in cow, you'll see Hathor Moore as a cow. There she is. Golden calf, golden calf, golden calf. Ooh, I like this one. Saving that one. That's a crazy picture right there. Okay, golden calf. So, that's Hathor. Just want to make sure you remember all that. So, here is the myth of the heavenly cow. And I'm going to go back and forth to the wiki, but the myth of the heavenly cow is the conventional title of an Egyptian mythological narrative that relates to how humanity once rebelled against the sun god, right? And how, upon that, the sun god reorganized the cosmos, okay? So, here's a picture of the sky goddess Nut depicted as a cow and supported by the 8 heck gods, okay? Well, I'll leave it up for just a second, because I always want to make sure I give you guys enough time to look at something. This is me trying to slow down. The Book of the Heavenly Cow, Kitab al-Bakarat al-Samawiyah, or the Book of the Cow of Heaven, is an ancient Egyptian text thought to have originated during the Amarna period, and in part describes the reasons for the imperfect state of the world in terms of humankind's rebellion against the supreme sun god Ra. Divine punishment was inflicted through the goddess Hathor, with the survivors suffering through separation from Ra, who now resided in the sky on the back of Nut, the heavenly cow. With this fall, suffering and death came into the world, along with the fracture in the original unity of creation. The supreme god now changes into many heavenly bodies, creates the field of paradise for the blessed dead, perhaps appoints Geb as his heir, hands over the rule of humankind to Osiris, Thoth ruling the night sky as his deputy, with Shu and Hek gods now supporting the sky goddess Nut. I think when I read He, I could just read it Kek. Hinty hint. Though the text is recorded in the New Kingdom period, it is written in Middle Egyptian and may have been written during the Middle Kingdom period. The Book of the Heavenly Cows was included in the tomb of Tutankhamun, Seth, Moses, the second, third, and fourth, And the earliest known copy of the Book of Heavenly Cow was discovered in the outermost gilded shrine of Tutankhamun. However, the ancient text was incomplete. 3 complete versions of the ancient text were discovered on the walls of the tomb of Seth, and Ramoses II and III, Ramses. Each version of son of Ra, as we discussed before. Each version of the text was found in the subsidiary room of the sarcophagus chamber, exclusively designed for the Book of the Heavenly Cow. Ramses the Sixth did not have a subsidiary room, but an excerpt from the book was inscribed in a niche in his tomb. Another excerpt is written on a papyrus from the Ramesside period, now in Turin. So back to my page here. The myth of the Heavenly Cow, also known as the destruction of mankind, is a name scholars give it today. Mythological structure, God's decision to reorganize the cosmos. One of the few coherent narrative accounts of the deeds of the gods of ancient Egypt. Ra sends his daughter Hathor to the fiery protective Sunai to kill the rebels. To appease the raging goddess, he orders that beer be mixed with red ochre so that as to make it look like blood, then spread it through Egypt during the night. The next morning, the goddess discovers the red liquid, and in her blood thirst, drinks it until she's intoxicated. Thereupon, she returns appeased to the palace, leaving the rest of humanity undisturbed. As an alternative solution, the sun god decides to leave the earth for the sky, which is created for him in the form of the Heavenly Cow, a manifestation of the sky goddess Nut. Humanity is now left without the presence of the god on the earth. Subsequently, the sun god reorders the cosmos into 3 layers of existence: the sky, the earth, and beyond, Duat, and assigns specific tasks to the gods Geb, Osiris, and Thoth in this new configuration. The version preserved in the tomb of Seti I is the most complete. It includes the complete sequence of events, the rubrics with rituals, instructions, and all vignettes. The other versions are abbreviated. Some even leave out entire sections for convenient table and set of drawing compared to the monumental version. See Mosater. The vignette of the Heavenly Cow appears in the monumental version except for Ramesses VI, occupying the wall opposite to the entrance to the annex chamber. Being an ideological myth, the narrative structure follows the scheme of the folktale set at the end of the reign of the gods on Earth, and the storyline explains the origin of the representative kingship and of the king's destiny after Earth. It also aims to explain the creation of the invisible night sky through which the sun god travels each night. Additionally, the myth provides an explanation for the dangers present during the final 5 days of the year. The epigeminal Somebody help me with that. I don't know everything. Before the yearly return of the inundation. The myth is structured in 2 principal parts. The first part, column 1 to 27, follow the Seti version. Let me jump to... I like this. 3 images. The goddess Nut in the form of the cow being supported by the gods He, Nene, left, and Jet, right, as supporters of the sky. Pharaoh as a supporter of the sky. No, there's still more here I need. The myth can be interpreted... Okay, the myth allows for 3 complementary interpretations. First, it displays how the gods share power and tasks after the departure of the sun god. Oh, wait, did I got that part right. Third, interpreted as raising the issues of the existence of evil, mankind's free will, and divine providence. The existence of evil is attributed to humanity and not to the creator God. The latter crushes mankind's rebellion brutally through the intervention of Hathor to destroy evil. He is compelled to annihilate humanity, and an action that conflicts with the idea of creation itself. The ultimate solution, a separation of the cosmic levels from existence, limits the problem to the earthly realm. In this sense, the composition is complementary to the other netherworld books, such as the Amduat, the Book of Gates, and the Book of Caverns, which show how manifestation of disorder are punished, and overcome in the beyond. So that's the point I wanted to bring up about that, is that it's that the book, the story about the heavenly cow is important because you've got in Egypt, the world's changing. There's floods from other lands. There's famines. There's blights. Did I already take any of my deforestation tab again? Deforestation during the Roman period. There's malaria, right? Erosion up to 20-fold in the 3rd century, creating unusable marshlands which spread diseases such as malaria, right? So flooding from runoff. The malaria thing's the biggest issue here. People start dying from diseases and blights, and they're confused, and they're wondering what's going on. And then there's leprosy. And leprosy is going on simultaneously, which is what the story of Osarseph is about. That these priests, Josephus is saying, these priests have been given leprosy, and they're unable to heal, so they're going to be isolated and separated from the kingdom, which is, again, in Exodus, I think, 28. He starts talking about how the priests are going to have to follow these rules. They have to have a gold lamppost and all this other stuff. But also, they need to make sure to follow these rules, because otherwise they're going to get these plagues. Leprosy is going to be given to people, it's kind of mentioned. So diseases spread, and then you've got this Atanism period where they're talking about a new order, the rays of Ra, your connection to the old world, and people start worshiping the old ways again, the golden calf, because the golden calf represented the night sky that's birthing the day every day again, and then they get in trouble because you're not supposed to worship the golden calf. And that's literally the same circumstance in Egypt during the Amarna period, which is, again, the same period as Moses. So this is another side to the whole golden calf story. I just thought that was something that we needed to cover. That seems kind of important. I don't know. All right. Well, let me check my list of comments from you guys really quickly here. Maynard. On the edge there. Careful with the words, guys. Ed asks, heard you mention Colossus the Forbin Project. Finished downloading it about an hour ago. Looks good. Yeah, I mean, Forbin Project is so good. I have the trilogy of books from the 50s, Forbin Project, and I won't even tell you about the first movie version because it's pretty good, so just watch that. But the other 2 books, man, no, I guess I can't tell you about that either, but there's no movie about it, so I could. So watch that, and then I will. But, it's not, the thing is, the sequels aren't related to the books so much. So, the sequels aren't related to the movie so much. They're new and watertight stories. Anyway, Colossus the Forbin Project, guys. I have some episodes about that maybe a couple years ago where I was talking about AI. I know I brought it up in my artificial intelligence episode with Kubrick about the AI movie with that little blonde kid, But Colossus the Forbin Project's probably the most important AI movie you can watch. I want to remake it. I heard Will Smith bought it and he was going to remake it. I don't know if he's what's going to happen with that. I hope he does. Now, what's going to happen with I should call Will Smith, right? Like, like right now, he's on edge, and like when you're that far, like this is about the point when I can start hanging out with Will Smith. So I should look into that. I mean, poor guy. They're gonna get him. It's like that episode of Britney Spears where they're chasing her down and they're gonna make her like for the harvest, right? Like I feel like that's what they're doing to poor Will Smith. That's my bet. They're gonna just slowly drive him insane quickly, slowly, quickly. All right, Colossus the Forbin Project, important movie. Rhinos are real. Thank you, VBDC. VBDC, a little dyslexia there. Venice Beach Dub Club. And yeah, Rothschilds are just one of many Bolshevik oligarch families that are pulling the strings. Thank you for your comment, Jorn. Yeah, I hope you watched. I mean, Jordan, if you want, watch the musical. I did an episode the other day. I was telling you about Maybe you can't watch it, but you can listen to it. You know what? That's something we could probably get away with. How close can you play a song on this show? Probably not. But let me see if I can find the lyrics to Rothschild songs. This is just a really quick. I'm kind of curious if I can find this. Let me see here. Is that working or no? What's going on? There we go. Okay. Maybe it's got to be here somewhere. Right? See the pampered faces, regard the costly clothes. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay. Why pay? Is that going to work? Can I find it? Yep. He tossed a coin. There's that one. Okay, this is good. London, this amazing London town. Look who the Jew. That's who. Let's see. Stability. Yeah. This one, never again. Have you ever seen a prettier little Congress? That's a cute song. Have you ever seen a prettier little Congress? Yeah, that one's brutal. I'm trying to. These are words here, so like, I can't find the word. War Bonds. That's like the best song. It's like, okay, there's this one song in this musical, and it's just like, gentlemen, for the, you can buy the war bond, and then, for all of £25, get your war bond. Is this it? No. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find it. I have to figure out if I could play that song. I want to be careful, because like, if I could, I would. That would be the best thing to do. Sticky Marks, thank you for your support as well. Saving it afterwards comes. Well, okay, if I go to like YouTube and I type in the song, I can probably see if it's covered, right? Like if it's a copy. It probably is though. Rothschild's musical bonds. I think this is it, right? And if I yeah, it's gonna lock. Oh, and then let's see, what's it say down here? Originally released. I feel like I don't know. I'm curious. I could almost get away with it. I could just read the lyrics though. Now I know the name of the song, and I can get away with that probably, and that'd be funny. Well, whatever. Basically, this song is the one you want to play, because so I'm just gonna tell you the title of it, and you can do this on your own. And then maybe what I'll end up doing is I'll put the actual song on if I can get away with it next time, because I don't think I can. I feel like they're gonna cover me for that. But the way the song goes basically is Napoleon has okay. So in the musical, the Rothschild sons have been born and they've been spread across Europe. And they're in every country of Europe, right? Copenhagen's favorite banking firm, Rothschilds and Sons, right? And then there's even one in England and there's one in France. But the one in England realizes that he knows, before anyone else does, that the one in France knows that Napoleon's lost the war. So they go out and they start to sell bonds. But the British are looking at the Rothschilds, assuming they must know something we don't know. And the Rothschilds come out and he says, all right, I want my guys to sell bonds for cheaper. I wanted to sell my bonds for a pound less. So if they're 25, sell your bond for 24. And then the British are like, wait, why are they doing that? So then they bring their prices down 24. The Rothschilds bring their prices down 23. And then they bring their prices down 23. The Rothschilds bring their prices down to 22. Whatever they do, they bring their prices down just slightly lower. Why pay 20 when 17 is plenty? You can have plenty for all of 17. Like, it's the greatest song, dude. I mean, And the British are just freaking out because eventually they're going to be giving away these war bonds, which are what they're assuming it means is the Rothschilds know these war bonds for a state of England against France will be worthless because France must have won the war. I mean, why else would they be selling their bonds cheaper? So they're selling their bonds, but really the Rothschilds are buying up the other bonds the whole time. And afterwards they find out, no, Napoleon's lost the war. It's been a huge manipulation, and the Rothschilds have just bought, essentially, the Bank of England. And that's how they took over England. So, best song ever. I think you guys should listen to the whole musical. But if you had to listen to one song, definitely the Bonds song tells you the most history. Though the rest of it's just incredible. Like, again, never again shall servants be masters. You know, there's a lot of civility. It's a very messed up movie. I keep calling it a movie, but it's a musical. I mean, no one's done the movie yet. I really wish they would. All right, well, guys, thank you very much for being here today. Tomorrow we'll go deeper into the Bosniaks. If you liked any of this content, or if you want me to cover, specifically other things, write me, like, and subscribe. And you can always go to andreas.me, donate. I love it when you do. You can also buy the t-shirts. T-shirts are just below here, is for wraparound designs. And remember, always try the andreas.me/store, which is if you want the special links, right? And those are unique designs. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarian.
Recent Tartarian. Recent Tartarian. Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.